Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down what might just be the most important court for the average person, the district court. Yeah, we all hear about the Supreme Court and the high courts, but for most of us, the real journey for justice starts way closer to home.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? While the highest courts get all the media attention, our source material really reminds us that for the things that affect our daily lives, a dispute over land, a family issue, this is where it all begins. This is the first door you knock on.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with where the court gets its power, then look at the really unique dual role of its judge. We'll get into its ultimate authority, the checks that keep it all balanced, and then, most importantly, why any of this matters to you.
So, first things first, let's get right to the bedrock of it all. Where does a district court get its authority? Is it just created by some government law? Well, the answer is actually what makes it so incredibly powerful. And this is absolutely crucial. See, unlike some local agency whose powers can be changed by a simple law, the district court's authority is baked right into the Constitution. This gives it immense stability and protects it from political whims and pressures.
You know, the people who framed the Constitution didn't just leave this to chance. Articles 233 to 237 lay out the entire blueprint for this system, everything from how judges are appointed to the whole structure of the courts. It shows this wasn't an afterthought. It was meant to be a core pillar of our justice system right from day one. Okay, let's move on to one of the most fascinating features of this whole system. It's all about the person right at the top of the district judiciary. Now, this might sound like a bit of a riddle, but the answer really gets to the heart of how Indian district courts are designed to be so efficient. How can just one person handle two totally different kinds of law?
So here's the brilliant answer. It's one person who wears two very different hats. When they're dealing with civil cases, disputes between people over things like property or contracts, they are the district judge. But when that same person presides over serious criminal cases, offenses against society like murder or robbery, they become the sessions judge. It's a really smart design built around one powerful role.
Now, taking on that role of a sessions judge comes with a massive amount of responsibility, including, well, the most serious and final power that any court can possibly have. That's right. The sessions judge has the authority to hand down the death penalty, the ultimate punishment in our legal system. It's a profound, staggering power, literally placing the decision of life and death into the hands of one individual. But, and this is a really, really important but, this ultimate power is not unchecked. The system has this built-in constitutional safety shield. A death sentence passed by a sessions judge is never final. It must be sent up to the state's high court. They review the entire case and either confirm it or reject it. This mandatory second look is just a vital safeguard against any error.
This brings us to the broader system that's in place to make sure everything functions correctly. You see, a district judge doesn't just operate in a vacuum. They are part of a very carefully balanced structure.
The district judge sits at the top of a whole network of magistrate courts, and our source has this great analogy for it. Think of the magistrates as the general doctors of the judicial world. They handle the initial hearings, bail, the less severe cases. It's only the most serious stuff that gets referred up to the specialist, the sessions judge.
This number, 24, it might seem a bit random, but it represents one of the most important checks our judiciary has on police power, and it is a fundamental right for every single citizen.
This is exactly where the court's oversight kicks in. It means the police can't just arrest someone and hold them indefinitely. Within 24 hours, they have to bring that person before a magistrate, and it's the magistrate who then decides if there's a good reason to keep them in custody. This makes the police accountable to the courts from the very first day.
So, who holds the district judge accountable? Well, Article 235 gives that job to the High Court. But there's a crucial catch. The control is administrative, not judicial. What does that mean? It means the High Court can decide on a judge's posting, their promotion, or handle any disciplinary issues. What it cannot do is call that judge up and tell them how to rule in a case. It's a fine line that perfectly balances accountability with genuine judicial independence.
Okay, so let's tie all of this back together. We've talked about the structure, the power, the checks, but why is this so fundamental for every single citizen? Why is the system designed this way?
Well, it really comes down to these three pillars that make justice a reality on the ground. First, accessibility. There's a court in every district close to where you live. Second, affordability. It's just less expensive than fighting a case in the higher courts. And finally, legal aid. If you can't afford a lawyer, the government steps in to provide one.
It's all about making sure justice isn't just an idea, but something people can actually reach.
So if you remember nothing else from this explainer, these are the core ideas to hold on to about the real engine room of our entire justice system.
These 4 points just perfectly sum up the whole thing. Its power comes from the Constitution. You've got one judge playing that clever dual role. The biggest power they have, the death penalty, has a mandatory check. And finally, they're independent in their judgments, but still accountable for their conduct. It's a really elegant structure of power and balance.
And that leaves us with one final thought from our source material. We've seen how the system is brilliantly designed to make justice accessible, but we all know that these courts are buried in backlogs. So the big question for all of us is this: knowing how the system is designed, what do we need to do to fix the challenge of delays and turn accessible justice into speedy justice for everyone?